Hey everybody, it's Ben and Beta, and this weekend we were going to go camping, but we ran into a few issues. One, as you can see, it's definitely snowing in the mountains. It was pretty much in the 50s, 40s all weekend, and raining here, and colder and worse in the mountains where we wanted to camp. And Misty also was having a lot of issues with her back this weekend, so we ended up staying around town, which just meant I could do a little bit of stuff on the truck. So a couple things that happened. One, I was able to mount the antenna, and we'll talk about that in a little bit too. Another thing I noticed is that some of these are a little bit loose, so I'm gonna tighten those up. This is where the poles go for the awnings on each of the windows, and I wanna make sure that this works properly, so I'm gonna tighten those down, make sure we're good there. I also added the molly panels this weekend, so those are on. We also did a couple test fits on just packing everything up. And what we found there was we needed maybe some different containers for inside. Basically, I was able to purchase this from Facebook Marketplace for about 45 bucks, which wasn't too bad, I don't think, for what this was. It did have a little bit of a crack up in here, but I was able to fix that with some Gorilla Glue, and I did test it. It is waterproof now. And one other thing I'm gonna be doing today, beyond anything else, is I'm gonna be adding some weather stripping all the way around here to keep any dust out of this system, and then also help just get closed a little bit better. So that's kind of what we did this weekend, so that when we do finally get out, we're able to get out really quickly. But we're finally getting just a touch of sun here today, just a little bit before it rains again. And it was still a productive weekend, which is great. But do want to show you a little bit about the install on that antenna mount and how 4x4 Colorado helped me out with that. And maybe we'll take a look at what this looks like all packed out as just one more test fit before I would head out next weekend, because it is supposed to be nice next weekend, and I definitely will be out camping. Today we're going to be installing the MXT 275 GMRS radio into the Tacoma. I purchased this system last year at Overland Expo so that we could put this in whatever build we decided to do. I also was able to find on Facebook a pair of handhelds, which are the GXT 1000s. And GXT 1000s are going to be for the summer when we go on our longer trip. The other groups don't actually have radio, so I wanted to have something for them. And when I purchased this, it came with this kit of a whole bunch of different things. I did purchase these from Midland as well, so that each car can keep their radio charged directly without having to use the base station. So hopefully that'll be helpful for keeping the conversation going when we're out in the wilderness, which should be pretty fun. When I bought the Midland kit, it did come with pretty much everything here except for this piece right here. So you could mount it. It came with this sort of stealth antenna piece, the stubby antenna, as well as a regular antenna. This has got the speaker built into it. I have tested it out a couple times. It does work pretty well, which is cool. So now it's time to put everything into the Tacoma. We've chosen this molly panel here in the Taco on the passenger side. I'm gonna mount the mounting plate to this, and we'll just slide the radio in and out of here when we want to use it. The antenna is mounted here, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then I can just plug it into either 12 volt here, or I can plug it into my battery in the back. Either way, it doesn't matter. And then I'll put the speaker and transmitter and everything on the other side. So that's kind of what we're gonna be doing there. But as you can see, the wires already run, and that's something I wanted to talk about as well. When I was at 4x4 Colorado, Devin was able to run that wire for me through this area here. Underneath there is a grommet and the firewall. He was able to run it through there, and then he was able to run that cable back in here, and he tied it up for me. So basically I'm gonna be just finishing off that section. And that's another cool thing about 4x4 Colorado. They can do way more than just put on tents. In fact, I chatted for quite a long time with Devin on what we might be able to do in the future with suspension lifts, wheels, tires, the whole shebang, Under Armour, whatever. So we talked about a lot of those things while I was there, and that was super helpful for me just to get an idea for the future. But I really needed that radio wire run, and because I'm new to a lot of this stuff, I wanted to make sure that that got done properly. He ran it through really quick and easy, no problems whatsoever. Another piece that I did purchase was this piece here. And the goal is to basically mount this right here somewhere probably, and run that wire right up in here, and then have that stubby antenna on top of that. So I think this is a pretty good mounting location. It could go into some of these other areas too, but this one seems like a really good one, I think. It's close to the wires, and hopefully then everything will just work perfectly fine after it's all wired up. So we're gonna get going on that. So I've said this before, but my garage definitely doesn't have a ton of light. So I'm able to use my Devos Light Ranger here to help with lighting what I'm doing, which is great. And again, this is a fantastic product. If you haven't picked one of those up and you're somebody who likes to be out in the wilderness and might have some need for light around the house, this is great. Anyway, first up, we're gonna try to make sure everything works here with the antenna, and just make sure that basically everything is going to fit correctly where it needs to and work before I do any more of the inside stuff. I was able to get the antenna mounted here, but it does seem like it's on there pretty good. May have to get tightened down a little bit more if it gets bumped around a lot, but you can kind of see that this feeds underneath. It'll feed right through here and get tied down in this part back to that wiring harness down there. And just to show you that it works, antenna is mounted in here. I zip tied this part on and connected everything up. We got power right here. Looks like it's working. So all this seems to work just fine. Just gotta tidy up those wires and we'll be good to go. Hopefully everything works the way it should over time. One of the things that I did here to try to help out with this was I did add an O-ring to the bottom. Now it's much more secure in place, but underneath the antenna on the brass part, I added an O-ring to that. Now this is nice and secure. I would recommend taking the time to load your vehicle before you go. I think that's a big deal. Also, I would set your tent up before you leave in your driveway, even if you really don't want to. I didn't want to, but I did it anyway, and I'm glad I did because a ladder was something I'd never used before. I've never owned a rooftop tent. It was probably a good 10-15 minutes. I was getting frustrated, and then finally I just figured it out. I was like, oh, that's how you do it. And now I can do it perfectly every time. And then I was able to train my dog going up the ladder into the tent, and that was pretty cool too. I don't remember if I took any video of that, but I definitely will show that in the future and show you how we're doing that. If you have a large dog like us, Rue's about 70 pounds, so lifting her up is possible, but it's much easier if she can just do it on her own. But I'll show you that in the future too. So let me just get this loaded up quick and then show you what that looks like. So I'm choosing to put this box toward the back here. And then for the trips that need it, we're gonna go with adding the fridge right in front of this. And then I have a number of longer items. And the traction boards, I haven't gotten these yet, but we will have 2 short mollies that are gonna go here. Traction boards will be attached to that. But basically, this would be more or less the setup for next weekend. We'll see how it goes. I don't actually need all of this stuff every time either, so a lot of times I'll only be taking 5 gallons of water instead of both of these, but this would be like if we're packing for a longer trip. And again, there's quite a bit of space left for food up there, and we have a lot of space in the cab, even with the dog yet. So that's basically how we'll probably try it next weekend, and hopefully it goes well. If you did find this video helpful, please like and subscribe to the channel or share this out with somebody who you think might find it interesting. I do have affiliate links that if you click on, help the channel, and there is lots of good stuff in there, but if you're not interested in that, the like and subscription is helpful too. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, live your life in beta, and we'll see you next time.